everyone. If you tuned in with me earlier today, then you got to hear Dr. Chelsea Rainey in Greenville, South Carolina, and her CA, Megan, share with you, how do we get chiropractic out into the workplace? How do we get our message out more productively? So if you didn't catch that, you can just scroll down a little bit on my Facebook page and you'll be able to see it. I'm super excited to have the ICA president, Dr. Steve Welsh, with me today. We are going to talk about standing up and the refusal to ever surrender. That vitalistic chiropractic is here to stay, and we're counting on you to join with us. A great way to do that is to join the ICA. We're going to talk about new things that are happening in the ICA and the importance of coming together. So I want to preface this conversation with this, and I really want you to be thinking about this conversation that Dr. Steve and I are going to let you in on, that we've been having off camera and now we're moving it on camera, to think about marriage, right? So it's two people who've come from likely completely different backgrounds, right? Like whether one was from a single parent home, or one was from a different parent, different situation, and yet somehow you came to love each other enough to get married, right? And undoubtedly, just like in any marriage, that you can agree to disagree and still have respect for one another. You can still have love for one another. So I just encourage all of you to kind of put on maybe your marriage or even your friendship mindset as we go through this discussion today. And I really want you to focus in on the fact that we can really come together under the tent of, these are the most important principles of chiropractic. These are the most important tenets that hold up this tent called the ICA. And let's focus on the things that we agree on, and the things that we disagree on, let's be respectful in that conversation. So Dr. Steve, thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having me again. And and I guess I'm talking to you, the boot campers already.
No, we're live in my whole page, so this is going all around the world.
All righty, and I'm gonna start off with a story.
Okay. Right? Yes.
Social media has really had a major influence, and some of it's positive and some of it's negative. But one of the things that it's done is it's enabled us to connect with people that we may not have seen for decades. Mm-hmm. And the example is that we spend our winters in Cabo, and we had a meeting scheduled, and so we were going to drive up to LA. Well, Claire's nephew that I knew as Chuck about 40 years ago, when he was still a Cub Scout, and I hadn't seen him for like 40 years, had connected with Dr. Claire on Facebook. And he said, and he saw that we were going to be traveling up to LA. And he says, I'm in the LA area. Why don't you come meet me? And I said, great. And so he says, by the way, I'm releasing my first album in about 6 weeks. And I want to send you a video, a YouTube link to a preview of one of the major songs. And I'd like your opinion. And so he sent it to me, and I listened to it. And I listened to the lyrics, and I immediately said, man, this is my song. All righty. It's called Never Surrender. All righty. And the lyrics go like this: never surrender, the truth will survive. Never surrender, just keep your eye on the prize. Never surrender, always lay it on the line. Never surrender, let your light always shine. Right? And he talked about, in another portion of the video, he talked about the reason behind it was because there was so much divisiveness in our society, and that there's a need to come together and to unify, already, and that there's strength in numbers. And so I relate that to the chiropractic profession and the attacks that are coming at the profession from outside the United States. An example was what happened in Berlin, and the ICA again filed a complaint against a couple of researchers. It's happening in Australia with the movement to deny the chiropractors the ability to take care of children and pediatrics chiropractic. It's happening in Canada, where many of the vitalistic chiropractors are being persecuted. And so the attacks are happening outside the United States. And if there's any organizations that's going to stand up to those attacks, it's got to be the ICA, but we got to do it together. All right, we got to get more unity. We got to focus our energy on the real enemy and stop circling the wagons and shooting in, as we seem to have been doing for the past 20 or 30 years.
You know, it makes me think of, do you remember the game Red Rover, Red Rover? If anyone watching remembers the game Red Rover, Red Rover, we played it on the playground as children. So I grew up in the country. And I remember on the Jones School playground, there was a game called Red Rover, Red Rover. So I'm looking, and Kat and Claire are joining us, and I saw Kristen and Shauna. So let's say that, so it'd be like there's an open field, and there's a group over here, and there's a group over here, right? And all of us on each side, we're holding hands as tight as we can, right? So then we would say, Red Rover, send Claire right over. So Claire would be somebody that we would want on our side. And she'd come running through. And as long as we held firm and she couldn't break through, now she comes onto our team, right? So like we come together, we tighten in order to grow. See, Kristen remembers Red Rover, right? And so like what you're saying about unity, like tightening up ourselves and then being so attractive that we bring other individuals in who want to be a part of a movement that refuses to surrender, part of the movement that refuses to back down, part of the movement who says the truth will always prevail, and together we can ensure that that happens. So in the song, then when you guys hear the song, think of Red Rover, Red Rover. That's my message. Kristen gets it because she said she remembers Red Rover, Red Rover.
Well, I didn't grow up in the country. I grew up in the Bronx in New York City, and I was out playing stickball or something like that rather than playing Red Rover, Red Rover. So I apologize for not knowing what that game was.
There was perhaps a couple decades different, or at least a decade different. So, Dr. Steve, let's just like real quickly, for those who are tuning in now or who will tune in later, what happened with Berlin? Berlin, just so that everyone is on the same page and really understands the severity of what we're talking about.
All right. What happened in Berlin is there's an organization, a worldwide organization that some 30 or 40 years ago, the ICA was instrumental in starting. Already, and it's the World Federation of Chiropractic, and think of it in terms of the United Nations of Chiropractic. It's an organization where all of the national associations from all of the countries around the world are members. The United States has two, because instrumental at the beginning was both the International Chiropractors Association and the American Chiropractors Association. But other than that, every other country only has one association, and they gather every 2 years, and they have like an assembly meeting, and they discuss policies and resolutions, et cetera. And then they also have an educational component associated with that. Well, this year in Berlin, a couple of researchers got up on the stage and literally trashed vitalistic chiropractic, and then they called for the elimination or the marginalization of vitalistic chiropractic within the next 2 years. And I wasn't there, but the ICA had a delegate of a number of members are there. They were shocked, they were horrified. They came back and they were jumping up and down saying, we need to just quit the WFC, et cetera. And so at our board meeting, we decided that we would formally file a formal complaint. And what the issue is the two researchers that are both, I guess, adjunct faculty on Canadian Memorial Chiropractic College.
Oh, yeah.
And which also happens to be a focal point of where some of the anti-subluxation is coming from in Canada. And one of the researchers is from Canada, and one of the researchers is from Denmark. And so in examining the policies of the WFC, it became very obvious that these two researchers grossly violated their own policies. And so we filed a formal complaint. We published it. It became front page news on Dynamic Chiropractic in the June issue. And we're waiting to hear some kind of response. All right. But it's just, again, it's just an indicator of the attacks that are starting to come. Again, there were similar attacks in Australia on pediatric adjusting. There's other attacks coming from different countries, and we need to stand together and unify and turn our attention against defending, if you want to call it, subluxation, vitalistic chiropractic as being scientific, as being evidence-based, because that's what they're accusing us of. They're accusing the vitalistic chiropractors of not being evidence-based. And so we need to fight back. And so the ICA, one of my plans, or our plans at the ICA, is to develop an advisory research council with a number of PhDs and start assembling all of the research that supports our paradigm. I mean, my point of view is that we're more scientifically based than the mechanistic model. The entire medical model is built upon 17th century Newtonian physics. Right? You really begin to understand the concepts put forth by D.D. Palmer. Already, they're completely in alignment with an understanding of quantum physics. So, you can choose your belief system. If you want to operate in a mechanical environment, chiropractic still works. Now, I'd suggest not as good as it does if you operate in the vitalistic environment. Already, but that's a choice, and we need to stand up and say, darn it. Already, vitalistic chiropractic is just as scientific, has just as much evidence, and it's not just about neck pain and back pain. And if we don't start delivering that message loud and clear, they're gonna run over us. So we gotta stop fighting amongst ourselves. We gotta get together and be prepared and never surrender.
Yeah, and one of the things I really love about what Dr. Steve just said is when the ICA discovered what was going on, right? They came, like the delegates came back and reported to Dr. Steve and the rest of the board what happened. The ICA didn't do this, like, let's go on social media and name call like 2-year-olds. Instead, they went through they went through and like as a business and said, wait a minute, these researchers broke their own policies, right? So the refute or the like, you're not going to do that wasn't like playground antics. Instead, it was fought properly, right? It was fought by saying, hey, these are the policies that you broke. That is not okay. And now we're going to move forward to defend chiropractic. And I love that. I love that, it was fought with truth. It wasn't fought with gossip. It wasn't fought like on a playground. It was fought like a business. And that's really and truly where we have to come from, is stand on our truth. And like Dr. Steve is saying, like, let's really look at the science. And one thing I'm really passionate about is chiropractic is an and profession, right? We help individuals who are suffering with back pain and neck pain, and we have an amazing track record for that. And so many people are so grateful for the help that it's provided. And in addition, it's all of this, right? Like, I think that we have to be really careful about minimizing the amount of people that we have helped who have neck pain and back pain and say that it's all of this. It's all inclusive. It includes individuals who are suffering and those who want to stay well. It's not an or. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, I'm sure every ICA member, every chiropractor would have to admit that the majority of their new patients walk in the door because they're in pain.
Yeah.
Right? Now, in the mechanistic model, in the medical model, the easiest research to do is on neck pain and back pain. And so there's this segment of the profession that's willing to say that's the most heavily researched, that has the most evidence. And so therefore, let's just focus on neck pain and back pain. And we can make, if you want to call it, make friends and inroads in the medical community if we abandon the subluxation, if we abandon the vitalism, and we just focus on that, there's plenty of money to be made. Okay. And while there's a small minority that think that way, already the majority I believe, okay, understand that as much as you can make a little bit of difference by focusing only on neck pain and back pain, the true value to society of chiropractic, okay, is on the creation and maintenance of health by normalizing the nervous system, by removing the interference, by letting the body be able to heal itself, which is far more potential, okay, to improve the health of society than if all we did was limit ourselves to neck pain and back pain. I mean,
and I think we have to look at this as, chiropractic is all about maximum expression, right?
Exactly.
So that's one of our primary principles. So why in the world would we violate one of our primary principles when it comes to serving humanity? Right? Because if we just pigeonhole ourselves to mechanical low back pain, we've pigeonholed ourselves and violated that principle that chiropractic is about expansion of the human potential. Nothing restrictive. It's all about expansion.
And as I indicated earlier, if you examine the statutes in all of the 50 states, okay, they fundamentally, in one way or another, include the concept of removing the interference from the nervous system in order to improve health. Right? That's embedded. Now you can argue about, well, some states allow you to do a little bit more and some states allow you to do a little bit less, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that fundamental premise that there's a neurological component, it's a neuromusculoskeletal, et cetera. In Europe, they're trying to take the neurology out of it. They're trying to say it's only musculoskeletal, right? And they're trying to just say it's neck pain and back pain. That's the only thing that there's evidence for. And I suspect it may be the politics in some of the European countries where they've had to accept that kind of a model in their nationalized healthcare system. And if they're under that, then I guess they want to make the whole rest of the world that same way. And so it's actually an attack on how chiropractic is practiced in the United States. Whether you're narrow scope or broad scope, they're attacking both sides. And so if we don't join together and unify and start presenting and demanding that chiropractic already is about creation of health, it's about normalizing the nervous system, the expression of health. If we don't start saying that's evidence-based, okay, we have the science, we have the research, and we need to fight right back. What comes from outside our country because of the internet is going to eventually affect our policymakers. They're going to read on the internet about the banning or about the restrictions on pediatric chiropractic in Australia. They're going to read about what's happening in Canada. They're going to read about what's happening in Denmark, and they're going to sit there and scratch their head and say, well, I guess maybe chiropractic isn't as evidence-based as we thought it was. So we gotta basically get the message out there, all right, that darn it, all right, we have the research, we have the science. It may not be to the same level that they do research for drugs, all right, but the evidence is there. It is scientific. Actually, in my view, it's more scientific than what they're doing.
Well, yeah, because let's never assume that just because a pharmaceutical company has research that's actually accurate, right? Like how much has come out lately, especially about big pharma doing their own research about their own drugs. Of course, they're going to pass it through. They've got shareholders who are like, hey, we want to make more money, right? So let's not fool ourselves into thinking that we want to compete with the science of medicine, because that's anything but science if we really look at it. And that's also what we're saying here is let's show the world how powerful chiropractic is. And I love that the ICA, and through your direction and your leadership, is saying, okay, let's bring together researchers. Let's bring together individuals who can prove to an even greater degree that what we say is true, that that humanity really and truly needs the healing from within that is ignited through a chiropractic adjustment. So let's talk for a second about just before we went online or went live, Dr. Steve, you were reading kind of like a new stance or Yeah,
right.
that the ICA has adopted, because I want everyone to see that the ICA is really working hard to bring chiropractors together, to bring all of us together, to not have this divisiveness where we all have all of these, like let's have all of our little camps around here and then shoot at each other. So what is the ICA doing?
Well, a couple of months ago, and it's part of a process of simplifying our affiliation agreement with other associations. We adopted a set of value statements. And then basically, and we're simply saying is if you're willing to accept our vision, and our vision is pretty broad, it's to empower humanity in the expression of maximum health, wellness, and human potential through universal chiropractic expression and utilization. I don't know anybody in the United States that's going to argue with that vision. And then our mission is to advance chiropractic throughout the world as a distinct healthcare profession predicated upon its unique philosophy, science, and the art of subluxation detection and correction. So if you're in line with our vision and you're in line with our mission, and then you agree with our value statements, all right, then there's no reason that you can't join forces, affiliate with the ICA, and turn our focus on defending the science and the evidence that supports vitalistic subluxation oriented chiropractic. And so we passed 5 value statements, and I'll just read you the first one. The first one is respect. Right? We acknowledge and honor the diverse perspectives and approaches in the practice of chiropractic and in promoting health, healing, and well-being. We pledge to conduct ourselves with kindness, compassion, direct and honest communication. So the point is, even if we have differences over whether you should be broad scope or you should be narrow scope, and the ICA is a big tent, and there's room for everybody, and as long as you're willing to basically pledge to support our vision and our mission. It's that simple. And so we've adopted those statements. You can find them on our website, www.chiropractic.org. They're front and center. And I invite anyone who is not a member of the ICA to join, and any association that sees the value in getting together, okay, and turning our attention on declaring to the rest of the planet already that subluxation chiropractic is scientific. It is separate and distinct from the practice of medicine. It does not deliver to humanity and society the true value if it's limited to operating in the medical paradigm. I mean, it'll help medicine, and they'd love to take it into the practice of medicine and abandon the whole vitalistic approach. They'd love to do that, and we just can't let them. So we got to commit to never surrender.
I absolutely agree, 100%, and will do what I can in order to defend it. I mean, we're not. None of us went to chiropractic college because we wanted to be medical doctors. Right? Like, if you want to be a medical doctor, then chiropractic college is the wrong place for you. So I appreciate medicine. I appreciate its approach. If I get hit by a Mack truck, please take me to the emergency room because I'm going to need their help. However, in terms of improving my quality of life and my maximum expression of life, that is not what is going to do it. So a question was just posted, and I don't know the answer. So Tara Hogan said, what about forming a bond with the ICPA ? I believe the research model is vitalistic. Would it be impactful to work together somehow, since outside our country, pediatric chiropractic is being attacked? So let's first start, instead of just like the ICPA, how do other groups or organizations come together and bond with the ICA? Let's talk about that. And then specifically, Tara, we can talk about the ICPA.
All right, and I'm gonna, instead of talking about one individual organization, I'm gonna apply it generically to any chiropractic organization.
Yes, perfect.
And I guess as the largest national association in the United States, with members in 52 countries on 6 continents, the ICA is in the best position to assume a leadership role in fighting this international battle. All right, and so the answer is, any association can apply for affiliate status, already, and join forces. And we're simplifying the process, and anybody is welcome. It's that simple. And then we got to upgrade. We're going to be upgrading our website. We'll be developing some pages where we can start listing those organizations that have joined in the international fight to defend vitalistic subluxation chiropractic. But the initial process is getting the word out that everybody's welcome.
Nice.
Right? And we have respect, all right, for all the doctors and all of the organizations that are basically on the same team.
Yeah.
There's so many different organizations. There's so many different tribes. There's so many, and they operate in their own little silo, right? And they do great stuff in their little silo, all right? But you gotta get out of that silo, and you gotta join forces with everybody that's on the same team, so that we can have a much bigger voice in Washington, D.C., and then we can basically march on the WFC in Tokyo in 2021 and demand already that we respect all viewpoints within chiropractic, which is actually in all of the WFC policy statements. We just got to hold their feet to the fire.
Nice. And
not surrender.
And I love, the mind thinks in terms of pictures, right? Or sees things in terms of pictures. So if you see the ICA as this huge umbrella over the world, because it's an international, right? It's an international organization. And then under that tent, each one of these, like the groups that agree with vitalistic chiropractic can hold your flag, right? And your people can all be together under that tent. But if under that tent, we have tens of thousands, that's going to make a way more of an impact than if each one of us shows up at these things with, 100 people under each flag. So let's show up together and say, hey, as tens of thousands, this is what we want to have represented as chiropractic around the world. Am I saying that accurately?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I would encourage any of you who represent a different group who agrees with chiropractic, vitalistic chiropractic, please reach out to Dr. Steve. Like, he is the president of the ICA. I have seen him in action. He wants to bring unity within this profession, and he is here to listen to you. He is here to bring us all together. So please reach out to him. Don't watch this and then go over here and blah, 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 blah. Like, go to the guy. Like, he's here putting out his hand. So a lot more can be accomplished when you talk right to the source and find out, like, all right, what can we do to take that step further? How can I be part of the solution instead of feeling like my opinion doesn't matter? Your opinion matters when it's spoken to the people who can do something with your opinion. That's where the difference is. So Tara, thank you so much for making that post. And I'm going to ask that you get with Dr. Steve and let's see what can happen.
Right. And
she said, absolutely. Yay. Thanks, Tara.
Yeah, what I'd like to clarify is that when you start gathering a large number of groups to collaborate together and to cooperate together, we're not saying that you have to agree with every position that the ICA takes, nor does a position that your organization take necessarily have to be in complete alignment with the ICA. Each organization retains their own autonomy. The only thing the affiliate process is supposed to do is to say, on the common mission associated with defending subluxation chiropractic, our common vision and mission, with a set of values that we respect each other and work together, that's the commonality. It doesn't mean you have to give up your particular position, or if you want to vote on this in the public, in your state or whatever, and it's not 100% that the ICA agrees with, or that you do that. It's not about that. Okay, every organization retains their autonomy. Every organization speaks for themselves. But when it comes to, okay, the issue facing us around the world, which is an attack on vitalistic subluxation chiropractic, we stand together. It's that simple.
So remember remember, all of you, I started this Facebook Live by saying, let's think about this in terms of marriage and even parenting, right? Like, how important is it for mom and dad to have a united front? Like, you can bicker all you want away from your kids, but when it comes to raising your children, you have to be a united front. Like, this isn't Barb Eaton's concept. Like, there are a million books that support this, right? That it's so important for parents to have the united front. So this is exactly what Dr. Steve is saying, is let's have a united front. Maybe back here, there are a few differences. Like, maybe mom thinks that the kids should have a bath twice a day, and dad's like, hey, if they go to bed dirty, it's totally fine. But let's come together to have the same rule, right? Maybe when it comes to curfew, mom's like, 12 o'clock is fine. And dad's like, nothing good happens after 12. So kids are going to be home, right? But so we're able to come together. Doesn't mean we agree on everything, but we can agree on the most important things to have a united front. And that's what this message is all about. And like Dr. Claire said, protect, promote, defend chiropractic. So as long as you agree with that, we can all be united as we go throughout the world and as we fight these battles, even on our own soil, right? To defend the right of chiropractors to adjust and take x-rays, to defend the right of chiropractors, that means you, to be a drugless profession. And the ICA is standing there saying, please come under our tent. We want to protect the right that you have to practice subluxation-based chiropractic. Have I said that right?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. So as we close this up, Dr. Steve, what is like a call to action that you would like to give everyone who's watching now who will catch this on replay?
Well, I think the biggest call to action is that there's a tendency to abuse social media and trash various tribes that are actually on the same side. And I think it's a commitment that every individual should make to recognize that all chiropractors that have a DC degree that are helping patients, even if they practice and do things that you don't do. We want our patients to have the freedom to choose the healthcare provider of their choice. Well, each chiropractor should have the freedom to choose how they want to practice. And they all want to practice in a manner that helps their patients. Now, the fact that some chiropractors differ on the opinion of what helps the patients and what doesn't help the patients, that they at least should deserve some respect as a colleague, and that they're at least providing a service that's better than if you went to the medical doctor, okay, to get a prescription drug. All right. And so we need to mature as a profession, and we need to respect our colleagues and have policy discussions in a civil manner, okay, without reducing the arguments down to name calling and blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that never accomplishes anything. I'm so thankful my parents taught me as a child, fight fair. Right? Like, I mean, it's really and truly, it's like, it's okay to disagree, but just do it fairly. Like, name calling, that doesn't solve anything. And to recognize, like, I truly believe that chiropractors and medical doctors alike, like, we all want to help others, right? There's certain things that we learn in order to be able to help them. And I'm specifically talking about my obviously my colleagues, that just because somebody does something different in their practice, they're not saying this is chiropractic. They're saying these are the ways in which I want to help my practice members. I am a chiropractor. I went to chiropractic college. I have a DC degree, is what this chiropractor is saying. And based on my study, based on my understanding, based on me helping other people, these are additional things that I have found can help them achieve better health and well-being.
Exactly.
So can we all just come together and show respect and have conversations with one another? Like, here's the deal. If you're willing to throw stones, pick up the phone and call that person. If you got something to say to me, my number is 907-444-9043. Call me. Don't trash me if you're not going to call me. because I got something to say to you. I'm going to pick up the phone and call you before I'm going to trash you as well. So let's just be respectful of one another. And it doesn't mean that we all have to like each other, but it does mean that we can Red Rover.
Fair enough. And then the last final comment is, particularly when it comes to changing public policy and getting laws passed, changes in Medicare. Okay, if you need to show up in the state capitol and you need to show up in Washington, D.C., okay, with a common agreement on this is what needs to be done. And as soon as there's even one hint, okay, that there's not a support within the profession and that there's infighting, that's basically gonna shut down any chance of making any kind of progress on changing major policy issues. And so, as we get forward on the Medicare legislation issues, the knee-jerk reaction, well, if the ICA does this, then you automatically have to assume it's wrong. And if the ACA does this, you have to automatically assume it's wrong. And it's real simple. You either support it or you just be silent. Okay, publicly arguing and trashing other opinions is just gonna destroy your own ability to advance your own position with the policymakers.
100% agree. And with that, we are gonna say goodbye, because that was like the very best conclusion and really invitation to let's keep this conversation going. Let's keep this conversation going. So Dr. Steve and I are committed to doing a Facebook Live interview about our profession, about what's happening on our own soil as well as around the world. So if there's a particular topic that you would like us to discuss, that you would like to join us through this technology with Facebook Live, there can be 3 of us. So if you would like to have a conversation with us, please recognize we're going to ask you to be respectful first, because we will respect you. It is my bat, my ball, my game. I am going to be 100% truthful with you on that. This is my page, so there are certain things I will allow and certain things I absolutely won't allow. So if you're not sure where I stand on issues, feel free to scroll through. It becomes abundantly clear. I have no hidden agendas. My agendas are 100% out there. If there is a conversation you'd like to have with us, shoot me a message, shoot Dr. Steve a message. Please just don't go away and blah, 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 blah. Like, let's have a conversation. And for those of you who haven't joined the ICA yet, please reach out to Dr. Steve. Let's join forces. Let's be Red Rover, and let's be unified. So chiropractic.org. Like Dr. Claire just said, thank you, Dr. Barb, exactly. Kat, oh my goodness, I love you, Dr. Barb. I love you too. So chiropractic.org. As well, if you're a part of an organization that you want to see come under the umbrella and the tent of the ICA while still holding your own flag, please reach out to Dr. Steve. He is the president of the ICA. And Dr. Steve, thank you so much for stepping into this role and for being a strong leader for our profession. I greatly appreciate you.
And thank you for giving me the opportunity, okay, to share the ICA message, okay, with your tribe and everybody else that has the opportunity, okay, to tune in. Thank you very much.
All right, you all, God bless you. Have a wonderful day and be strong, never surrender. See ya. Bye.